So. How are we doing, guys? I think I've got the camera all set up for you. Hopefully, anyway. Right, today I'm going to be going through a little boxing tutorial with you. So, what we're going to do, I've written some key points down on the board. Okay, I'll bring the board up afterwards to just show you all them key points if you can't see them properly on there. We're going to go through just basics, getting the foot positioning and why we're having that foot position. Hand positioning, throwing a jab and cross, where the body weight should be and where the head alignment should be when you're throwing each shot, and slipping. After we go through them little key points, guys, we're going to move on to some shadow boxing, why do it, and putting it all together, and then just literally work from there. So let's start from the top. So first of all, every single person is going to be slightly different in their setup, okay? Regarding your height, your reach, etc. And the more you start doing boxing, the more you will find what works for you a little bit better. But there are some basics that you want to try and obey by and really sort of like get your whole setup with everything. So, without further ado, let's start from the top. So let's go foot positioning and why. So foot positioning, so usually I would start this off from a kind of, let's go a walking position, okay? So if we're walking, take some natural steps, okay, forward and backwards, or really forward. I ain't got a lot of room here, guys, this is my front room. So there's my stepping pattern. So as soon as I've stepped, that gives me a rough sort of outline in the length of what my feet should be, okay? So not how wide they should be, but in the length of where they should be. So from there, I'm just gonna, for me, I'm gonna shuffle my back foot just back a little bit more. So there is my foot length, okay? If I turn around to the side, I take a step, bosh, just move it around a bit, about there, yeah. That's about right, okay? So we use that for everyone who's doing this. That gives you a rough sort of dimension on where it should be. Now, the width of the positioning and where we are. So what you don't want to be is walking a tightrope, okay? So usually walking a tightrope, I class when both feet are together in one line, okay? When both feet are doing that, we're gonna be a bit off balance, okay? So when you're throwing your shots, we haven't got a lot of balance there. So what we want to do is split our feet in where we are. Now my front foot is pointing forward and my back foot is coming round to the side. So we don't have to be at right angles, okay, like an L position. You just want it slightly off that, okay? So the front one pointing forward, the back one has got a slight turn to it. Again, I'll show you from a sideways on position, okay? There we are. So, like we said, walking a tightrope would be from this position, so we've got a rope running right the way through, we're going to be off balance. All I'm going to do is step each foot either side of that line, okay? Now, too much standing to the side of each line, we're going to come very square on, okay, to what we're doing. Again, if you did get hit in that position, then you're more likely to fall backwards. So that's why we just want to split things just nicely in the middle, okay, where we are. So again, there's our tightrope position. We're just going to split that off slightly, and there we are. That gives us now a nice stable position in where we are, okay. Now, in regards to hand position, you've got an orthodox style or a southpaw style. Okay, I'm orthodox. Okay, so that means my lead hand, like my jabbing hand, sits at the front, and my strong hand goes to the back of my face, okay, which is my right hand. Now, if your strong hand is your left, then you're going to be a southpaw. So that means everything changes from the foot below, okay? So we're going to go here. Legs are just going in that opposite direction. You've still got the same setup, so we still don't want you walking on that tightrope, okay? And then if your front foot is forward, front foot, if your right foot is forward, that means your right arm comes forward. Your left leg is back. Your left arm comes back, okay? So I'm going to go to my natural position, okay, which is my orthodox. So I've taken my step, I've separated my feet slightly, and the hands are coming up. Now, the backhand, I'm going to have just sitting around my jawline, okay, just around here. We don't want to hold it right up the top here, just around the jawline. The front hand, again, is coming around about my jawline, but sitting in front slightly, okay? This is my lead hand in what I'm going to be using, my jab and my cross. Or a lot of the time, as the boxers use it, your 1 and your 2, okay, from this position. Okay, so we've got foot positioning and why, okay, because of your balance and where you're moving. And then we've got our hand positioning. Now, let's move on to throwing a jab and a cross, where the body weight should be and a head alignment. Okay, so foot positioning, on again, hands coming up, and elbows tucking in slightly, okay? So we don't want them flaring right out. So everything here stays quite nice and tight to the body, but you don't want to be hugging, okay? So nice and tight from there. So jab, as we said, is this one here. So at the minute, excuse me, at the minute, our body weight is around 50% on each leg, okay, as we are. So when I put a jab in, my hand is going to come out, and you're always aiming around about your head height, okay? So try not to throw your jab out to the sides or down at the bottom, okay? So make it come straight out. As I'm throwing the jab out, I'm turning my hands, okay? So the knuckles are coming straight out in front. So a little bit of rotation. Now as I'm throwing that, again, my body weight doesn't really change in what I'm doing, okay? So we don't want to be leaning forward whilst doing this. So we're just here, and there's my jab position. When I'm throwing my cross, this is where things change a little bit. So throwing my cross from here, what's going to happen is if we go from the foot upwards, so I'm going to throw my cross, I'm going to turn on my back foot, okay? So my back heel comes off of the floor slightly, and I'm going to rotate off the ball of my foot, so it comes right round to the hip, and then the arm comes out from there. Again, we're looking at getting that nice and straight, okay? Right, as I've done that, if I come to the side as well, I'll try and show you as many angles, guys, and stuff as I can. So from the side position, just throwing forward from here. Now, around, as you're throwing your cross, around 20% of your body weight gets transferred to your front foot, okay? So cross position, as you've thrown that cross, around 20% of my body weight is now forward, okay? And I'm driving off of the back foot. So we don't want to be, as we're throwing it, we don't want to be here, okay? We don't want to be in this upright position. We just want to be leaning forward just slightly, just pushing off the back foot there. Now, something you want to look out for is the head position, okay? So whilst throwing your cross, you don't want the head to come over the front of the foot. From this position here, guys, okay? This position here, we're going to be quite off balance. So you always want to control what you're doing. Again, here we go, throwing the cross. This is my body weight transferring, so we've got around about that 20% coming forward. This is if I go too far, just lunging forward, and I'm going to end up falling over, okay? Okay, from there, let's look at the head positioning as well. So, as I'm throwing my jab, my head is just turning slightly to one side, okay? Because my body is turning from the hips, just a little bit, just a tad. Again, with the cross, I'm going to rotate from the ankle and then coming up through the hip, and my head again comes across the body there, okay? What you don't want is to be bolt upright with the head facing forward, okay? Everything stems from the lower and then coming all the way up from that position. So head comes across over to the left hand side as we're putting the cross in, okay? So as we're putting the back hand in. Slipping. So slipping left and slipping to the right. So as we're slipping to the left, I always say to people, this is probably your easiest slip as such. Think of your slip as kind of sort of like your cross position, okay? So you've got that transfer in body weight as you're slipping, but you're just not going to throw the back hand, okay? So from here, our hands are coming up, right hand back, left hand forward, and I'm going to slip over to my left hand side. So we're going to end up with that little bit of rotation coming off of the back foot here. And all I'm doing with that is just putting my head out of alignment from that midline position, okay? Everything in boxing, in what you're going to be doing, you want to try and keep it nice, small movement. So when you slip, you don't want to be right the way down here, slipping out the way of a shot. Remember that when you're boxing, if you're basing it off of working from an opponent, then they're aiming for that midline there, usually from the nose and the chin. So all you've got to do is just move out of the way of that shot. So there's no need to come all the way down unless your head is like this size. Okay, so it should be fairly easy just to move just that little bit there and then set yourself up for a shot from that. Okay, so again, just slipping to the left. We've got that slight weight transfer. So around about 20% transferring over the foot. And we're just slipping into the shot. If I go from a side view, I'll turn it around so we'll come from this position as well. Okay. Now the next one, we're slipping over to the right hand side. Okay. So this one here, a little bit different. So when we're slipping over to the right hand side, we don't want to be transferring that weight forward now. The weight more so comes onto a bit of the back foot there and we stick our arse out the back. Okay, so again, you've got your feet in the right position, your hands are up, and again, all you're doing is trying to move out the way of that shot. So we don't have to move that far. Okay, so as we're moving over to the right, I'm going to turn my hips and I'm going to stick my bum out just slightly behind me, okay, and then pull back again. If there's any rotation, then that rotation is now coming from the front foot, okay, just pulling around slightly from there. Again, I'll go over to the side position and the other. And all the time while I'm doing that, guys, my head is moving with me, okay, and where I am. So we don't want to be around here, okay? Everything stays and the head comes right the way over with you. I've always got contact of the person in front of me as well, okay? So make sure we don't do anything too big, the movement. So we don't want to be right over here, because once my head is over in this position, I can't have contact with that person in front of me, okay? So your eyes have always got to be on that person in front of you, okay? Okay, from there, so we've got our slipping in, we've got our head alignment where it should be, and now we'll move on to shadow boxing. Why do it? Shadow boxing we use to hone in on what we're learning, okay? So a lot of people would usually have mirrors or anything like that in what they're shadow boxing in, because the idea of it is that you're looking at what you're doing and making sure that everything is in line. You don't have to have a mirror whilst doing this, guys, neither, okay? It's just looking at yourself through doing what you're doing. Also getting the heart rate up, everything like that. It's a real good bit of cardio as well, if you're doing it properly and you know what you're doing, okay? But just take your time in doing what you're doing when you're shadow boxing. So if we were putting it all together, the thing I've noticed to sort of like help people a little bit more with shadow boxing is people usually get quite overwhelmed with stuff. They've got their hands up and they're putting in all different shots all over the place. The body is going everywhere, they're off balance, and they can't think fast enough about what shots are to come next and why they're coming next either. So usually what I would do is write something out and then just put each shot in around 3 to 5 times in what you're doing. And try and keep everything simple, guys, as well. Don't overcomplicate it, okay? Nothing has to get overcomplicated in what we're doing. So your first shot is just a jab and a step, okay? So again, we'll get our feet in a position. So from that, we're not walking that tightrope there. There's our tightrope position. I'm going to split them apart slightly. Sometimes as well, guys, another thing what I didn't mention is sometimes we can, if you've got a bit of masking tape or a skipping rope, whatever it might be, put that on the floor, run it in a straight line, and literally get your feet either side of that line, okay? And then you can work up and down that position. I'll tell you what as well, guys, that's just, I'm going to go back just a little bit, foot movement as well, guys, okay? So before we start going into our shadow boxing. So foot movement, really basically, if we're moving forward, you want to step with your front foot first and drag your back foot, okay? This is basic stuff, guys, so we're starting real from scratch here with doing this. Again, just bringing the hands up, I'm going to step and I'm going to drag. Again, step and drag, step and drag. If I'm moving backwards, I step with my back foot first and I drag my front foot. Step and drag, step and drag, step and drag. Now the reason I'm stepping with my front going forward is if we step with our back first, from there we've come to a square on position, which usually means we're going to be off balance from there. Okay, guys, so again, we're just keeping that distance apart, okay? We don't want to overstep with anything, and it's important to bring the back foot or the front foot with us where we're going. If we're stepping to the left foot moves first, so we split and then drag the right foot. Again, step and drag. If you're going to the right, step and drag, step and drag, okay? So there are basic movements in what we're doing. We're going to keep it as that today, guys. Right, now, back on the shadow boxing part. So we're starting off with jab and step, okay? So I'm going to jab, arms come back, and there's my step. Jab and step, jab and step, jab and step, jab and step. Okay, guys, nice and easy. And you can do, if you want to do 10 of them on each side in what you're doing. Again, we can mix it up a little bit. So jab, step, jab, step, jab, step, jab, step, jab, step. And just take your time in what we're doing, okay? Next one, step, jab, cross, step. So this one here, as I'm stepping, my jab comes initially as my front foot has landed, okay? If I'm stepping forward, that is. So if I'm stepping, I'm going to step. There's my jab, followed by my cross. I come back in my boxing position, and I'll step again. Okay, so let's move back. I'm just watching my head on the light, guys, as well, okay, in case I hit my head there. So a little step again, so step, jab, cross, pull back, and step. Again, jab, cross, and step. Right, now think about what you're doing with this as well, guys, because if we could go step, jab, cross, step forward again. So if I do that, jab, cross. Now, because I've already got that body weight shifting forward there, okay, it's going to be very hard for me to step forward on top of that. I'm going to feel like I'm off balance. So think about what you're doing, okay, and think about where your body weight is to get you on balance or wherever you are. If you're off balance slightly, think about what you're doing, okay? Maybe you always come back to your 50-50 position, okay, to your starting point. and then just move. Again, little jab, cross, gonna come back, step, jab, cross, come back, step, jab, cross, come back, step. Okay? Next one. Step, jab, slip left. So we've got our step first, foot position again, little step, there's my jab, and I'm going to slip to my left from here. Okay, again, 1, 2, there's my slip left. I'm going to move backwards, jab, slip, and again, and slip. Just that little bit there. Remember, as we're going to the left, guys, we've got that slight weight transfer over to the left side there. Okay, head's just turning with it, so that's another thing to look out for. Just a head alignment with the body, how the body is. So we don't want to come over to this direction, just here. Eyes are still facing forward in that position. Go down to the last one. We've got our step, jab, slip right, and cross. Okay, so from here we're gonna, what we got? Step and jab. So step, jab, slip right, and a cross. Okay, again, I'll that right, yeah. So step, there's my jab, pull back, slip, and cross. Okay, so again, with this position, my weight is now from my jab, from there, I'm pushing back into that slip to the right hand side, and my weight is now sort of, I've got that sort of 50-50 point there, okay, so I'm not right the way over my front foot. So from there, I can now use my back hand, because I'm leaning backwards slightly, and transfer that weight coming forward. Okay, so again, step, jab, slip right, cross. So step, jab, slip right, cross. Move again, so jab, slip right, cross. Okay. So when you're putting that all together now, guys, you can do, like I said, 5 to 10 times, and you're just literally going to work through the whole lot, the 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Make up your own ones as well in what you're doing. At the end of it, you're looking at doing freestyling, okay? So try not to think about too much in what you're doing, okay? But you're just moving through your motions and taking your time. Set a timer up, 1 minute or 2 minutes, okay? Maybe even give yourself a little bit more if you want that, just to sort of, don't rush everything, don't rush anything. So just taking your time through all the movements in what you've learned. And again, just try not overcomplicate anything, okay? When you're standing still, when you don't know exactly what combinations to put, maybe just have a slight bit of head movement, okay? Just side to side. Again, just a couple of steps, throw in a jab, jab, cross, okay? So, if I was freestyling, let's just move this out of the way. Again, I'm going to use the mirror in what I've got, okay, with my freestyling. So I'm getting my feet set up. So now I'm looking at my foot position. That looks about right in where I am there. I'm not walking that tightrope in that position. I'm just splitting across slightly. From there, back hand coming up to around about the jawline. Left hand, my lead hand, coming just forward slightly. And then I'm just going to start freestyling, okay? So I'm going to start off nice and easy. I'm just moving. Little step. And again, what I'm going to do as well, I might just turn to the side, okay, and then have a look how far my head is coming over the front, or if it's coming over the front of my feet. So, jab, just got that light bit of rotation there, put the cross in, and again, put the cross in. Right, I can see now my head is coming way over the front of my foot, so I need to draw that back slightly, okay? Slight bend in my legs, so we don't want to be too stiff and upright. From here, jab. That's better, good. So now I'm transferring that body weight forward, around 20% of it, but my head's not protruding over the top of my foot, so therefore I should still be on balance. Again, I'll turn around, just step in, turn around and have a look from different angles in what I'm doing. Turn around again if you're facing the camera. And relax. So after you've done that, guys, try and get a slight sweat on as you're doing it. Try and keep everything as well quite loose in what you're doing, okay? So try not to, like I said before, your elbows want to be tucked in, but try not to squeeze everything too hard, okay? So try and have the hands nice and loose. You don't want them really tensed up. Everything nice and loose in what you're doing, okay? So we're not over tightening everything. Everything must stay nice and loose so you get that nice snap at the end of the shot as well. With this as well, guys, try not to put too much power in, okay? So we don't want to be throwing the shots, overextending everywhere. Again, we're just staying nice and loose in what we're doing, okay? Hopefully you've enjoyed that, guys, and it'll give you a nice little start to your boxing. Cheers, guys.